And we are back. It has been a minute. It's been months, actually. Um, yeah, where do we begin? So I guess where we left off, I made the Quebec Mega Trail pre-season video, kind of recapping before jumping into the training camp, with the idea that, hey, every block or maybe every week I was going to do a video, and guess what? Life got busy and that didn't happen. But the good news, training has persisted, and we're going to make a really long video. We're just going to detail the training plan up to this point. Let's talk about some of the highs, lows, indifference, and all that kind of good stuff. I guess jump to the future, or I guess present tense for just a moment. We are currently Friday night on the last real week of training for the Quebec Mega Trail 100 miler. This weekend is back-to-back runs. Essentially, I've got one more marathon distance to run tomorrow, followed by a half on Sunday, and that should take us to our kind of final week. And we'll talk about kind of how we got there and everything like that in the next couple of minutes. But I guess zooming out, maybe we'll do a walkthrough through the weeks, and then maybe I'll talk about a few topics that stood out in general. And this time also prepped some photos so we can have a sense to see kind of what the trails were like, what the running was like, which is always cool to kind of reflect on, as well as some general other kind of pictures. So, training camp started with the preseason. We kind of just jumped through that point. It had started essentially at the start of January, where the idea was to just start introducing running back into my life in like a regular way. Up to this point, I've been just doing like a long run a week, 20K, or just to keep it fresh. But nothing serious. So during the preseason, which was 7 weeks, we got up to, what was my total? Sorry about that. Got up to 47.5 kilometers in the preseason, which is within about 5 or so of where we were going. It was coming in a little bit short, but where things got aggressive was the start of the first block, which is this guy here. So it was the tail end of February where we kind of kicked off the actual running training plan. We were following the same system from last year, so the idea is 3 incremental weeks followed by a rest week, and then you start your next block not quite above the final run of the last block, but just like a little bit of overlap, so you're kind of doing like a step ladder approach as you start to build some mileage. I started with the idea that I was going to do 70, 75, 80 kilometers in terms of mileage in the first block, and we started really well. In the first week, was 70 kilometers on the dot, met the plan. It was across 5 runs, topping out with a long run, 25 kilometers to start. It was very much winter time, but it was much more mild than other winters. The conditions were dry, but there wasn't too much accumulation, at least in January, so we started out pretty well. And for the first time in a training camp, as we kind of headed into March, I had like a really disruptive March right at the start with family issues and things like that. And it kind of threw me off my game. And I came in on the second week at 64 kilometers, where I was aiming for 75. The midweek runs fell apart, and I couldn't make up the time. And you get into a situation where it's like, what, you can't just squeeze another run in, and I'm taking like a Friday rest period. So I guess stepping back, the main kind of flow is you got 3 runs through the week. You do the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You're taking Friday and Monday off, and then Saturday, Sunday doing a back-to-back with like the big effort on the Saturday followed still by like a medium-sized effort on the Sunday to kind of give you that time on feet. Anyways, in this week 2 leading into things, just got the first run got messed up, and then the second run also got disrupted, and I also lost a few kilometers on the Thursday one, and this was due to conflict issues, and big sad story, whatever, it came in at 64 kilometers. Another piece that I noted here was I wasn't feeling really good. I wasn't getting good sleep, I was just like feeling like shit. So I had a question asked kind of heading into week 3, was whether we to stick to the original plan of jumping up to the 80 kilometers a week. I guess that's 50 miles for you US folks. But I decided that I fell short of the goal as well as I fell short of what I did in week 1. So why don't I just go back and try to make the week up? And it looks like I put in effort. I don't have detailed notes on every week. And I still came up short, 68 kilometers. So this first 3-week block was kind of humbling. I was expecting to hit the ground faster right out the gate and feeling good, considering I had a little bit of a preseason, things were going in, but, you know, I don't know if it's like that in the way. I also felt like I wasn't hitting enough nutrition in the first few months heading in. And we're going to talk about the tailwind situation maybe a little bit later. But in short, I was running without too much electrolyte mix in these colder months. It was just on pure water for the most part, which might have been a detriment. Anyways, we hit our first rest week, and that's kind of week 4 here. And keep in mind during these running weeks, we're also doing as much weight work as we can fit in without disrupting the running. I started trying to do like a push-pull leg split, and eventually you'll see that I transitioned just straight up into like an upper-lower body due to just being able to get the appropriate volume in. It didn't make sense to try to do such a complicated split because I had to really pick my places for the workout. Alright, so we knew block 1 went poorly. Heading into block 2, which encompasses weeks 5, 6, 7, 8. Do we follow the original plan, go 80, 85, 90? And I decided no, and I thought I would repeat the previous first block and see if we could just do it right. So week 5 we were going to do a 70, 75, and an 80, and see if we can just actually do the original block we had planned. We're not going to scale the miles up. Maybe a bit sad to kind of go in that scenario, but sure enough, we went through the numbers on this first block, ended up also pretty solid. So what did we go? So I guess we want to take a quick look at the big runs. 5. Boom. I remember this guy, the 25, where the water froze, so this was a pretty cold day overall. It was that point where I was still doing 25Ks. Same with this guy. How was it? Yeah, still like just a bit slushy. It wasn't terrible. And then things started to get a little bit milder. This was a nicer day. This is why I started actually mixing in some trail work, which was good. And then on the last one of this block, I did my first 30K of the season, and I mixed in quite a bit of hill repeats, I recall, on this one as well. So we got quite a bit of running in, and let's see. Maybe we'll do a trail recap up to this point. some of these days, this is the January ones, just walking through. Pretty mixed. Just overall pretty mild January. Had way worse. A bit muddy on days. And then the February trails. I call this trails because but that's probably not even correct, because at this point the trails around here are in rough shape. You might as well bring some like trekking poles and expect to be just in the mud. So it's a lot of pavement work early on. You can see this common trail, obviously I use. So that's February. We're heading into March. Nothing crazy. You can still see the snow stuck around a long time this year, but nothing too much. So, anyways, so that brings us up to the April block, which started on April 15th. So this was the first block where we were actually going to get some proper buildage for the first time in the plan. So we replicated what we needed to do on block 2. So block 3, why not just do the original progression, 80, 85, 90 kilometers. And how did things go in that one? Well, we can talk about 2 of these runs. As you can see on week 10, there's something special there. And we have a bit of a bump. So starting with like the first long run, it was a 35K, so really starting to push the distance on the long runs. So using these pretty basic trails though, you know, they're buffed out, there's not too many tree roots or a lot of elevation. This is, if you want to think about like difficulty levels of trails, this is like the easy stuff, but it is better than pavement. You are getting a closer simulation of kind of the ground impact, what your gate's going to feel. It's better to spruce this in, even if it's not this close as like your target. And then the other one was my first, I guess, practice race, which was a last minute one because the spot freed up. It was a 50K on a ski hill essentially. And yeah, I don't actually have any pictures of it because it rained from the start to the end. It was heavy. It rained all day. Literally rained all day. I was in my shell coat the entire race and just trudged through it. This one, like, mentally let me know I was in a good place because we hammered through it, and there wasn't a moment where, you know, I felt weak or anything like that. It was just like a solid training run effort, and that was cool. A lot of people were having a tough time on the ski hill. I brought the poles. A lot of people didn't bring poles for this. And it helped me stay pretty grounded when the ski hill, it was a looped course. By the 4th loop, essentially, it was just mud, and you're just sliding down, you're going everywhere. Forget trying to pace, you're just like trying to keep upright. You don't want to like slide down the face and take like a unnecessary kind of angle on a rock or something. People were bailing. It turned pretty rough out there for some people. But yeah, got that first race in. And then the follow-up week was supposed to be the 90 week. And I had some issues on the weekend once again. And couldn't get the right workout in. So I got this 15 in the morning, and I can't recall the exact situation at this point. Something came up and I couldn't get back out, or I had to come back in early. Can't remember exactly what it was. And it kind of screwed my weekend over. Thought so anyways. Hold up. Or did I come up short on this one? Give me a second, guys. Still got a 27 in on the Sunday. I'd have to review the week. Maybe it was during the week that I actually screwed up. This should have been a higher number, though. This is the problem when you don't take detailed notes in all regards. So we can kind of look at the training week, and something happened on Saturday because I flipped the long run over to the Sunday, did the 15, the start, the 27, and did I just lose the Tuesday run altogether? I did. So probably coming off the race weekend, something got in the way or some kind of issue happened and didn't get that run in, so we came in at 68 kilometers on that. Regardless of that outcome, we had another event in the calendar, so we were taking a rest week. Taking a rest week for, I guess what at this point is week 12, with week 13 having a backyard ultra that I had scheduled, which was one of these 24-hour deals, first time doing that. And the idea is every hour you do this 6.8 kilometer lap. I can open this guy up. And yeah, like how did this one go in general? It was cool. It was cool. It was at like some random park, a little whiles away, a little conservation area. It was nice. It wasn't the craziest course, but you know, this is like a mom and pop kind of small style race, so they gotta make do the best they can with the situation. So they had this kind of double loop where you're essentially kind of doing 2.5K and then the remainder on the other side, and you have to finish on the hour. And yeah, I ran pretty much to the front of the pack actually on this one for most of the splits. I knew I wasn't coming in on this one to do the full 24 hours. So I originally had signed up for this race not knowing I was going to do a larger race later in July, so I thought I was going to go all in on it. But with the fact that I was now had the Quebec Mega Trail making this fit in, I knew I needed to cut off at one point, so I finished the 12 laps, and at that point made the call that I'm going to call it at 80K. Solid training effort. Overall week would have been 100 kilometers, so it was like a solid training week on top of a great event. And you know, I still have some second thoughts of whether or not I should have stuck it out or kind of pounded out as many laps as possible. But one thing I can say for the first time ever is the day after, I was good. I could move, felt like I could still run, and up to this point, I guess we're year 5. You know, the day after on a 50-miler, pretty rough. And a couple days later, still pretty rough. So I was back to running. One more kind of deload week coming out of this on the Tuesday, and you know, I kept it small. Where are we at? On week 14 here, with an 8K, but it wasn't a problem, and it proceeded to go through another kind of 40K week. And yeah, this is kind of brings us into May, which is very close. Let's go through some of the pictures for April first when we hop into May. This is from the race. You can see I'm like absolutely soaked. Everything is just drenched. Look like I'm having a great time. It's a power hike through this. It's pretty wet the whole time. It's a bit of snow at the start of April, kind of lingered. Massey for a little bit. Well, actually quite a bit of snow. Must have had some pictures mixed up in here. Oops. Yeah, this one's definitely April. That's better. Apparently a cat. Yeah. Too many pictures messed up. Let's hop over to this one. Yeah, so I actually got onto some real trails. This was nice. Weather's starting to turn and get beautiful. That's the main trail. One race in. Did have a peek through the May pictures while we were here too. We'll hop back and recap of that. Sunday night. Trail. Another trail. Oh, we'll tell this story in a little bit. This was a fun adventure. Excuse me, allergies. Rainy day. That's my mom at the event actually. Finishing, she did 6 hours. Yeah. Good shit. Anyways, let's have a sip of water, and we will talk about Block 3, which is where we're at right now. Alright, so Block 3. What was the plan? Well, according to the last training week prior to the backyard ultra, should have been doing kilometers probably in the 90 range for the week, like a 90, 95, and maybe top at 100. I decided I was feeling really phenomenal at this point, so I decided to hand in 105, 115, and 120. So representing more of like a 20k hike, and seemed old at the time, but I felt like I had turned a corner in overall fitness, and yeah. So how did that go in general? I guess we could take a look at some of the long runs. So I want that guy. Check this one. Ooh, okay. I actually forgot that story, so we'll come back to that guy in a second. So this is where I started actually getting out to like a real trail and doing a ton of extra elevation work. I've been hammering this guy, this entire block, some steep spots. You're pretty much always on a climb up or a climb down. There's some flat sections still. But making a lot of points to kind of head through this. So I've done this guy 2 weeks in a row with a 32k the first weekend, followed by 40k the following weekend, 20k weekends afterwards as well, or 20k Sundays, sorry. So I finished with about 102 kilometers on the first week of the block. 111 for the second week, so both weeks slightly under plan, but still breaking into the hundreds and feeling really good. And that kind of brings us to today, where we're kind of heading into the final week of the 120k week. So we're actually going to try to hit that number right on the head. Week has went better than expected in terms of overall runs. Was able to string together 220s on the trails as well as a 15. plus a bunch of workouts on top. Trails have been beautiful, so just getting some great mileage in there. And this is the last hard weekend, so 60K will take us to the end. And then it's 2 taper weeks followed by the actual competition week, which is crazy. So, I've collected some of these together, I guess, for the June pictures. And I didn't know about this trail up until this point. I've been exploring a few more trails. I've been enjoying it though, a lot of different terrain. I don't actually have it all captured here. Some route sections, some elevation sections, sandy sections, you name it. So, yeah, that has been great, and things have been going overall really well. The mileage has been hard, but not to the point where I felt like I was stretched. Where I felt a bit stretched last year, kind of heading into the end of it. This is not the case this year, which is cool. Let's talk about the one random run. This is why this week actually got thrown off, the one week I had mentioned before. So I did this guy, and the idea with this run was it was going to be a 50K unsupported. And I was going to get dropped off in this other town and make my way through this path on all trails. And I didn't really look into it too much, and the all trails route got a little bit sketchy around this point. Trail got unmarked, and I wasn't really that familiar, so I got pretty disoriented actually in this trail section. And I burned a lot of energy and water. I feel like I can last a long time on water when I'm in a really good zone, but I fell apart in that section, and ultimately I burned through all the water on me. So I made it out to this road after moving through these super slow kilometers, and ended up getting picked up, which sucks. Really bummed me out. Some lessons learned there. It's if you're going to do a big route, you probably do need to scout out the trail quality. Because these trails out here were marked really well. It was very easy to navigate. But this was a shit show, and yeah, it wasn't great. Okay, so that's the event piece. Let's talk about the nutrition. Getting Tailwind in Canada has been a nightmare. I thought it was just a one-time out of stock thing. And after a few months of kind of waiting around, found out that there's actually issues with getting it in there. I had to pretty much retrain my gut on a different style of nutrition, which hasn't been fun. And I miss Tailwind, and hopefully we get it back for next year. Right now I am using Scratch, which it's okay, I guess. It's not my favorite. Let's talk shoes. So this year I did a fair amount of running on road to start, and then transition into trail shoes on the road. I have been mainly using the Saucony Minerva Pros and the Asics Gel Kyanos for the very slow miles in general, and just rotating between those two shoes. Maybe a few runs in the Nike Pegasus 37s, but I've pretty much probably stopped running in Nikes for the most part at this point. Just something about them, it hasn't been the same in a few variations after trying a few other vendors. On the trail, going primarily Solomon, and still using the Lap 3s from last year, as well as I brought in a pair of the Glide 2 I think it is, as my, it's right on the screen in front of the Ultra Glide 2, which have been pretty comfy actually, pretty comfy. I've been enjoying them. This will probably be my training shoe of choice. And then in terms of the actual Quebec Mega Trail, I will be using the Lab 3's start with the idea at 80K I'll switch to the Solomon Genesis, which I just picked up a few weeks ago and took out for a few runs. That's going to be the training regimen. I'll bring the Glide 2s as backup in case of weather. Yeah, I feel like this one has been going on for a while. What are we at time-wise? Can I get a time? 30 minutes. Yeah, maybe I'll do a follow-up segment, maybe on more details on the actual races, but maybe let's just talk about the Quebec Mega Trail heading into the final week. So one more hard weekend, gonna put in a hard effort, try not to get injured, we're gonna hit a deload, just gonna be focusing on staying fit, staying safe, not injured. Heading out there, I've started mapping out all the splits, trying to get some rough times. In terms of nutrition, got a bunch of stuff from NAC, Ultra Energy. So I've been messing around with their waffles, some of their bars, as well as the applesauce. I'm going to actually be trying that one more time on the long run this weekend and see how it feels with my gut, just trying to get a good sense, because I'm really going to try to hit the calories for the 100-miler. Yeah, then otherwise, I'm just trying to get my mental zone, trying to memorize the splits, the elevation profiles, get in the right state of mind, feeling like, you can never guarantee victory, but I feel like if I put my best day in, we can make that 40 hours. But it's starting to get hot. It was 28 degrees yesterday, and it gets hella humid here, so just got to stay tight for a couple more weeks here. And then we'll do probably a race recap and see if I got that 100-mile finish or if it's back to the drawing board. Hopefully it's all good, but this is kind of an update on the Quebec Mega Trail plan. If you watch through this, hopefully this helps with your own training. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But rookie shit. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys after or before. I don't know, sometime soon. Bye.